Good morning. You are watching a DrydenWire.com live video podcast. Today is March 1st, 2019, and joining us here at our global studios located in Spooner, Wisconsin is our very special guest, Barron County Sheriff Chris the Macho Man Fitzgerald. My name is Ben Dryden, and after taking a 2.5-month sabbatical, DrydenWire Live is back and coming at you every Friday morning at 9 a.m. with one notable difference. My father, cleaning guru and ninja master, touchdown Terry Dryden, is now co-hosting our Friday chats. Dad, what do you think?
I think it's great. I think it's about time we came back with this. I'm really looking forward to talking to Chris and all the other folks we have lined up. I think it's great.
Awesome. Chris, welcome back.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
How are things going in Barron County?
Oh, just getting through it day by day.
Well,
Nothing much going on.
Yeah.
We have several things that we kind of wanted to get to, but last night the Evers had his budget address, and there's a few things in there I wanted just to ask, does this impact, or what impact, positive or negative, that if these come to fruition, what would they have on Barron County or on law enforcement?
All the spending on law enforcement is positive.
All right, well, then I don't need any of these questions now.
Everything else we should put towards law enforcement.
Okay,
No, I'm just
we'll
kidding.
see you later, folks. That's it for this broadcast.
So one of them is driver's licenses. Now, this was Associated Press had a kind of like a highlights of the address last night, and it said the budget would make people who are living in the country illegally eligible for driver's licenses and identification cards. Is that anything to do with law enforcement in terms of that would be very helpful?
Well, the ID part of it would be helpful, but I don't know how the state and immigration are going to work that together. I haven't read into that. I mean, having IDs would be great.
Yeah.
But I don't know what legal part of it. That's an immigration and customs thing. We don't have any say over that at all.
Sure.
So, but having an ID would help. A picture ID does help because some of them do have IDs, but they're and
foreign.
They're foreign, and so they're hard to read and understand.
Sure.
So having the same form, that wouldn't bother me at all. Now, what legalization that gives them because they have this, that's not
Sure.
up to me. It's up to customs.
But it'd probably be helpful to have an ID when you
Definitely be had. But again, we don't have a say in that at all.
No.
Whether they get held in our jail through ICE or not. I mean, that's a totally a 1-800 number we call and they say yes or no. We don't get a say at all in that.
The other one was
Unless there's criminal charges.
correct.
Criminal charges on them. They're going to do what always do in the court system.
Right.
but
Yeah.
not,
If they commit a crime.
right,
Good point.
right,
It's
right.
a very good point.
sure.
But either way, I do not support giving them a driver's license. So I'm sorry. I can't swallow that one. But that's me.
Why is that?
I don't know. It's just like
I don't know.
it's okay. So you're basically saying, come on to our country and be an illegal immigrant, but we're still going to give you a driver's license. It seems to smack right in the face of legality of folks that want to come to our country. If you want to come to our country, be a citizen, then get your driver's license.
Okay, well, valid point, I suppose. We also asked, or actually, Dad, you had sent out a question thing about marijuana.
Yep.
And so just from the decriminalization point of view, medical marijuana would be legalized and possessing up to 25 grams of recreational pot would be decriminalized. How would that impact if that was legalized? And it sounds like that probably won't happen. But if it did, does that make a job harder? Does it make it easier?
Well, it's going to make it harder. I mean, there's no question about it. Any kind of decriminalization of anything. And I don't just think we can't change the law backwards, and I think there was a retroactive thing in part of that budget, and I'm totally against that. You just can't have something retroactive, like I've been convicted and now I'm not convicted.
Yeah.
That just doesn't work.
Yep.
My statement on marijuana is that it should be in a pill form, and if doctors think medical marijuana is something that would be useful in the world, I'm all for it. Those are the experts in the world. I'm not an expert on marijuana.
That was a key statement you just made. It should be the medical professions that decide whether this is. Shouldn't be legislators saying this will help a medical condition. I'm sure it probably does. I don't know. I don't know. But I think that should be the medical profession that makes that decision.
Right, and it needs to be in pill form. I mean,
Yes.
and I've made that
Yes.
statement. I mean, you just can't have a green leafy baggy running around saying, "This is my medical marijuana."
Yeah.
And then and that's where the grams get into and that's why I don't support that part of the law. I mean, we have to measure everything, and if it's 26 grams, that means they're convicted. If it's 25, they're not. I mean, it's just going to create way too many issues. And it's not clean. It's not easy for law enforcement. So not in favor of that at all.
Okay. Well, obviously, what I think a lot of people want to hear about or from you about is the Jamie Kloss investigation.
Mm-hmm.
Where is that investigation in terms of what role do you play in the sheriff's office play right now? Or is it, no, we're pretty much finished and now it's up to the court system?
Sure. Well, obviously it's in the court system right now, so we can't comment on the case itself, but I can comment on the community. I can thank everybody out there. I mean, because man, the help that we got, it was a tremendous effort. But he's in the court system. He's being held in the Polk County Jail for administrative decision that I made on that. So he is being held over there. That sheriff is helping us out with that. But right now the community is going really good. Jamie's doing good, and as well as can be expected, and she's got a smile on her face, and I think that's all we can ask for in a case like this.
Wait a minute, I gotta back up a little bit. Now I know over my years of experience, a case like that would come before me, or a homicide, or anything of that nature. It strains the local sheriff's office. I mean, I get it. You had FBI, DCI, you had hundreds of them there. Those impact you extensively, not only budgetarily, but it also impacts you as far as being able to work in your office. I mean, I'm assuming you had to find a lot of places for a lot of people to sit down, to have a phone, to have a computer. I mean, did some people lose their offices during this? I figured that it had to be. Yeah. And how are they doing? How is your staff and you coping during all that time? I mean, it had to be tough emotionally. Psychologically, it had to be tough on you and the sheriff's office.
Oh, very much so. Very much so. And if you don't have the staff that you create and you build, it makes it really tough. But, we all got kicked out of our offices. I got kicked out of mine. Yeah. There was behavioral analyst people there. Yeah. We needed a space for everybody. Our IT department worked lots of overtime to help us out with it.
How did the budget get impacted? You know, we can't budget for homicides. I never did. You never will. You can't budget for these kind of things. How did that impact your 2018 budget at the end of the year?
Oh, very much so. You know, I don't have a number yet. We're putting that together, but I'm sure it's 50,000 plus easy just on the and I'm not paying. I didn't pay a dime for DCI. I don't pay a dime for the FBI.
Right.
I mean, we pay that as taxpayers, and I understand that, but it was a very, very expensive case, but there's no dollar amount we can put on it because. But when we talk about the stress, you talk about everything that we've gone through. What makes it a lot easier is that she's at home with a smile on her face. So I think if she is not home yet, I think the stress level it keeps going up. Right. I think we've reached our limits at some points, and there was tension, but it was just the work that came together with the DCI and FBI, and I can never thank those agents enough. Man. I mean, if you look at it, there's about 100 FBI agents in Wisconsin. There's about 100 DCI agents, and at one point we had about 70 of each in our office in Barron County. I mean, that's every analyst, every secretary, every person that did something, inputting data, whatever it was. I mean, we had every person here that they could afford to take out of Milwaukee, Madison, Green Bay, wherever. I mean, at the highlight of this, we were 320 strong on a briefing day. So, I mean, there's a lot of things that went into this, and it's starting to sink in a little. And it's only because we can kind of let our guard down a little bit, knowing that he's in custody and he's innocent until proven guilty. I have to note that. I mean, we have a case. I feel very strongly about our case, but that's obviously I feel strongly about every case we put forward, whether it's this or a simple OWI. I mean, that's what we train our people to do. But when she's at home with a smile on her face, hopefully improving every day and being a 13-year-old girl, that's all. And the community is out there that supported us through food or donations or whatever it is. Thank you. I can't thank you.
You had good support in the community, but you had good support from the county board and the people that have the money. And it basically, it's probably this way. And I don't know, because I never asked you this question before. It's like, Chris, you spend what you got to spend to get it done, and we'll pay for it.
Yeah.
That's basically what they said.
We had full support of our county administrator, our county board,
Absolutely.
our IT director. Highway department helps us. Social services helped us. You pull in all those people, and we had a check-in desk, and we had pulled people, other county agencies in to work that desk because we don't have enough people to do it. So I mean, it was totally a group effort, a community effort, neighbors helping neighbors. That's what we do here in Northwest Wisconsin. We don't depend on anybody else except our neighbors, and that's what we did very well, and it showed. We showed the world, and that's where it's starting to absorb in. This is a worldwide story.
It is story,
and I can't wrap my head around that yet. I haven't wrapped my head around that
yet. And I'm glad you brought that up because I would like to ask how that experience went for you. And again, I'm glad that we can talk about this because Jamie is at home.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. And I understand you really can't get into the investigation part, but from being the face of this investigation, you were doing interviews on everywhere, and national, worldwide. What was that experience like?
It was like I said, it hasn't quite sunk in yet. I mean, we're almost 30 days, just over 30 days, when she's been home, and it hasn't sunk in quite yet, and we'll it'll get there. But it was a tremendous effort by everybody. Again, it was surreal. It was fun. The media helped us. They needed to be part of this case.
Absolutely.
And I think that's what's different about it. And I've been, talked about in some different media outlets about why it works so well. But I needed the media. I needed the media to put their picture out there. That's ultimately when she was found, everybody knew who she was because her picture was everywhere. Whether she was found in Gordon, but if she'd have been found in Madison or in Arizona or wherever, everybody knew about this case, and that was what's so different about it. And the community did good. The shares on Facebook. I mean, we use Facebook. It's the first time the FBI used Facebook exclusively for a case.
Really?
Yeah, we did. Because that's all I use. I mean, I have local media outlets, but most of the media outlets were getting their messages from Facebook. So we would update Facebook when we wanted something out
and
there.
It's immediate. I mean, it's not like you have to wait for somebody to write it and then put it on something. It's immediate, and then they can grab it from there and run.
And that was the podium. I mean, while it wasn't so much the podium, if it wasn't, and I control our Facebook page in Barron County, and so it was immediate if it came on the Barron County Sheriff's Department feed, because there was a lot of fake news out there around this case from day 1 to day 88, when there was a lot of confusion on day 88 that she was in Walworth County and Douglas County and all this in between. And so there was a lot of confusion out there. So we use that as our podium. We said if it didn't come from the podium or our Facebook podium, if you want to call that.
Don't believe it necessarily.
It didn't happen. And that worked well for us. Whether it was luck or skill or a little bit of both, we'll take it.
Sure.
That's it.
And what was it like dealing with going from previously local media to the type of media that was covering this? What was that experience like, the difference between local media and national and world media?
They had to earn their trust, and then we talked a lot about that, and they do that well. I mean, I have trust with you. I have trust with our Minneapolis stations or Eau Claire stations. I knew those people. I trusted them already. They knew who I was. They had my cell number, but the national media is a little bit more aggressive at times.
Just a tad.
Yeah. But I had to commend them because they would come in and talk to you, and they didn't have a camera the first time they talked to you, which was, I think, very helpful. And I'm going to speak to the Broadcasters Association about that, because I think you have to earn their trust. And by coming in and just Ben and I talking about the case with no media, no phones, no microphones, and then saying, hey, would you mind saying that statement on the news? Yeah, I can say that. But prepping and having some...
Then blindside you.
Yeah, then blindside and just sticking a camera and what do you think? So earning the trust of that worked for them. It worked for me. I trusted them, and but it took a lot longer, and there were so many. It was overwhelming on days. I think there was a day I did like 27 interviews during the day.
Did you ever, doing so many of them, did you ever, as soon as it said something, went,
No, I don't think so.
I hope nobody picks up on that one.
Knock on wood, I don't think so. You got to prepare. I prepared for this. I prepared for every time you go out in front of a microphone. I'm always prepared. I know what I need to say. I know what I can't say, and hopefully you don't say it. And I don't think
You don't ask it.
Well, and I did say it. That's an active part of the investigation, and some people were very frustrated with that when I didn't say what kind of gun was used or whatever the situation. We were up here 3 months ago talking about this, and I said, you know what, I can't talk about it. I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna release that information, and people needed to accept that. Some people didn't, and that's fine. Don't accept it. But I don't really care.
That's where the pre-interview comes in play, where you could tell them, don't ask me that question, because first off, you never say no comment. You never want to say no comment.
Right.
Well, your answers to those questions were really good. I watched the whole thing, and that's where the pre-interview comes on. Don't ask me that question on air because I'm not going to be able to answer.
Wait, now why did you say don't ever say no comment?
Because it just doesn't look. You just say no comment. All right. It just, what you need to say is what Chris has said. That is an active investigation. I can't divulge that information because it's part of our current investigation, and by saying so is going to possibly be detrimental to our case.
Oh, sure.
That's a great way of saying no comment.
No, got it. That's a nicer way of saying it.
Exactly.
Well, you got to give them a reason.
And you're right.
If one of those people would have, I would say, you know what, we're not going to talk about that, and then they ask you that question. You know what? You just don't return that phone call. You don't, and they don't want that. They were sent from New York and Boston and California to get interviews. And if they make me mad and I don't do an interview with them, because I can say, you know what, I'm at home, I'm not doing an interview. I don't have to do interviews, but it's the public. I work for the public. The public owns me, if you want to call it that. So as an elected official, I have 44,000 bosses, and I just happen to pick up a few other million bosses during this case.
You had said that everyone knew about this case. It was a worldwide case, right?
Yeah.
Why do you think this was that? Why do you think this was world wide? These situations, as horrific as it was, it happens, and maybe we don't hear about those. What was it about this one do you think that resonated with people?
I just think I'll go back to saying it was a 13-year-old girl.
There you go. I was going to say the same. It had to be. My opinion is, let alone the violence of the offense, but let's just say it's a 13-year-old girl taken from her home. We believe she's endangered. That's basically what you guys said.
Right.
And you have 2 dead bodies there, and the violence, but most importantly, it was that 13-year-old girl. I think that's what gathered, or that's what generated all the attention worldwide.
I have to agree. I think that's just where it was. I think it was I think it's unique. I think it's a unique case from the violent standpoint and the taking of a 13-year-old girl.
Yeah,
and the fact that the leads were minimal.
Yeah,
really. But we don't want to talk about that.
No comment.
No comment. Good point.
So, are things getting back to normal now? Normal is in now that you've kind of, I don't know if passing this off now to the courts is the right way to phrase that.
Yep. We passed it off to the DA's office, and our DA's office has it with the help of the Attorney General's office. And again, that's why I don't comment on it or make any statements about the case or talk about the evidence or anything like that, because it's their job now, and I don't want to hurt the case just like I did before. I don't want to hurt it now, and that's why we don't talk about the case or the details or do interviews about what we did for that 88 days and what techniques we used or anything like that. We're not going to talk about that. We're just not gonna.
But the costs are still not over yet. The costs for the court system now are taken into play, and I mean, if it goes to jury, I mean, you're talking thousands and thousands of dollars to get the conviction. So it's not over yet. The money part's not over yet.
Is there anything else lined up regarding that case in the future in Barron County?
Yeah, we've got a couple events coming up for the community. The community has been hugely supportive, and again, I can't thank the community enough for everything they did. But we've got some things coming up, and I believe the date's going to be March 15th. It's a Friday night. I think Elizabeth Smart's going to come and talk to our community
Excellent.
about moving forward. We're gonna call it Moving Forward with Elizabeth Smart. I don't have the date locked quite in yet, but I'm 90% sure it's going to be March 15th, about 6 p.m. Either at the high school or Barron Area Community Center, and that's what we're just trying
somewhere big enough.
Somewhere big enough, and that's my worry. And so I think she's the only one that I know of that's been through something like this that can help the community, and the families and things like that. But the community also needs to move forward, and I think she's got some tips for us. And she's followed this case from the beginning.
Well,
I have not talked to her myself, but I've talked to her person who's arranging this, and she has followed the case, and so I'm interested on her take on this case, being one of the only other people in the world that have experienced something like this.
When you were here last, I think it was early December, I believe. I think we touched on this a little bit, but from emotionally and psychologically for you during that 88 days, and then the juxtaposition of when she was found. Emotionally, what was that like? Going from that one first extreme to the other.
You can probably tell with a smile on my face.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think I've not smiled in the last 45 days that she's been home. I mean, it's just, I don't have a bad day anymore. I just don't have a bad day anymore. There's just no reason to have a bad day. It's just awesome. I mean, what she did, and she's the hero. There's no question about it. She's the hero. We just guided the ship, and she did it. But the smile on my face, it was a long 88 days. It was trying. It was difficult. It was a lot of hours, a lot of time away from my family, and time I'm trying to start to make up here shortly. And but that's the role that I play. I mean, I took this job.
It is what it is.
Right.
We knew it going in.
Right. I knew that going in. My family knew that going in. And it's not the first time we've had a major case. No. It's not the first time I haven't been home for 3 nights in a row. It's, so it's, we've had other bad things happen. The tornado was that was very trying and difficult. And I was gone a lot of hours for that and just came home and slept and hit it again. And that was national media. I thought that was the last time it was going to be on national media. I guess I was wrong.
2018 was pretty significant for Barron County this last year. You had some major cases down there, and thankfully I think they've been mostly all resolved. But but the tornado alone, I agree with you there. I know what the tornado thing's like. It's a lot of work.
That affects a lot of people. Well, this affected our whole community. Yeah. Really, the victim is one family. Yeah, it affects us all. But and I need to give out a shout out to the school district of Barron too. I mean, they've just been a tremendous Superintendent Tremblay and her staff and the middle school staff and everybody have done a tremendous job for those kids in the school, and we didn't think about that. And the DOJ has got a great school program, school safety program. They've been instrumental in a lot of things, from therapy dogs to talks to we brought in some Columbine speakers. So I mean, again, this is a community effort, and I know this community can do anything now, so I'm not afraid. We just took on the world and we won. I mean, led by a 13-year-old girl. So it's been pretty awesome. And but the school district of Barron did a tremendous job, and Superintendent Tremblay there needs to be a superintendent of the year. I hope there is one, because she needs it. And,
well, we'll nominate. We'll start a new award, and that's what we'll do.
And we're going to call it that.
There we go. No problem.
Superintendent of the year. That's a good one. I don't think they have such a thing.
I don't know.
Well, I'd say we'll do it on DrydenWire. Yep.
I think they got teachers of the year. I think.
Well, I'm not sure. We're going to call superintendent of the year because she did a tremendous job in the hours that school district put in, and I know as sheriffs, we always said, we get the glory sometimes, but you can't lead unless you have people to follow. And, I have 78 employees that did a tremendous job. And so, while the sheriff sometimes gets all the glory, we also get the bad too, you know, and
buck stops there.
Yeah. Both sides of it. So
I always told my staff too, a good leader is only by, what is it? The definition of a good leader is because of those who follow.
Right.
I mean, that's really what it's about. The 78 people you have are making you a good leader.
There's no question about it. I got 78 people that make me look great every single day of the week.
That's what I always said.
So now looking back over those 88 days, and again, not about the actual investigation itself, logistically, looking back now going, you know what, if this happened again, well, this is probably how we would maybe make some changes to maybe make something go more smoothly. Is there things that you can speak on that during it that you didn't realize you're doing the best you could at the time, but now looking back, we probably should have done this? Again, not about the investigation,
right.
Just about the logistics.
Yeah, we're not quite there yet. We haven't done a debrief yet. We're taking notes and creating some things, and yeah, there's some things I would change. We need to spread out and be a little bit. We started too small. We were hoping that
we
wanted to be all of us in the EOC, and it was just impossible.
The EOC.
Yeah, that's
Emergency Operations Center.
Yeah, we have a.
Thank you, Chris.
Yeah.
You're welcome. Where's the button?
Remember, you're not the guest.
No, I thought that was a question.
I wouldn't have remembered. No.
Yeah.
We always support each other.
Yeah.
Very nice.
And so we needed to get bigger for way faster, and we didn't, and because we thought we could just do it and manage, and but then 200 people is a lot of people, and you're like, we can fit 200 people in here standing up, and we're like, no, we can't. So there's a few things, and we have a debrief coming up, and we'll talk about some things, and
good,
but yeah, at this time, no, I haven't. Like I said, it's just starting to absorb and sink in a little.
And all those other agencies that assisted, are they out of town? Are they? Do you still have that presence there?
We still have some presence here, just when follow-up is needed by either the district attorney's office or the attorney general's office. If they say,
further interviews, that kind of stuff.
If they say something, then we'd look at that.
Sure. Yeah. So, kind of moving past that, what else is going on in Barron County?
Well, it's just snow.
Yeah.
Are you sick of snow? I am sick of snow.
Well, but when we talk about plow drivers, that was one of my topics I wanted to touch on, and because we had a sheriff's meeting the last couple of days, and there's been a lot of squad cars hit, a lot of snow plows hit, and it's going to snow again today. We just need to pay better attention in a snowstorm and slow down. And when I go on the radio station in Rice Lake and drive slow in the snow, I mean, I end everything with that.
Turn your cruise off.
Right, yeah. But you need to drive slow in the snow, and we have to. I mean, there's a sheriff's department that has 2 squad cars in 1 week totaled.
Yeah.
2 snow plows literally damaged. And when you hit a snow plow, you're not going to win.
No, you're going to lose.
Right. And so we have to slow down. We have to give our snowplow drivers more room. We have to give them, they know when you meet a snowplow and they're plowing snow and it's a light, fluffy snow, you're going to have a whiteout condition. So you've got to slow down, move over as far as you can, turn your flashers on, whatever it is in snow, blowy snow, turn your headlights on all the time. There's a lot of cars driving around without headlights on in a snowstorm. I know it's not the law, but you need to do it for safety purposes.
I thought actually that was the law. Now it was 100 feet.
You're supposed to back 200 feet. You're supposed to be back.
The having your headlights on.
Only in rain and when you can't see more than.
I think it's like 100 feet or 200 feet or something.
I forget what it is.
Yeah, I don't know the exact.
I thought it was 500.
It might be 500. And how do you measure that? It's 5 car lengths.
So I just want to
how
point out.
How are you going to write a ticket anyway?
Right.
I just want to point out it's okay that I don't know what that law is. You're not that far removed from being the sheriff. You are the sheriff, and you don't know how many feet.
We don't know every law.
Come on.
Our people do, we guarantee it.
Yeah. A deputy sheriff, he knows what he's doing out there. Let him go.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's why they don't let us drive around in squad cars much.
They ask me a question, I got to go to Google it. Oh, yeah, that's what it is. But that's a good point. As you know, the last couple snowstorms, the last one we had there on 41, we had that major pileup. Mm-hmm. A teacher got killed on 41, 100-car pileup. Then the one in Eau Claire. It's a good point, Chris. You got to slow down because these people are just flying into these, with the slippy roads and a whiteout, and they're just smashing into cars, trucks. Mm-hmm. That was a mess. Imagine that. Imagine having a 100-car pileup and at your Rice Lake exit. We're down in Barron County.
100, yeah. I think the biggest we had was like 8.
Yeah, I think we had 8 or 9 at one time.
I was like, wow, we need like 5 tow trucks right now. And you can see, I see they released some of the body cam footage, and this cop is climbing over cars, and all you can see is smashed. And I'd be like, man, if I was near retirement, I'd be like, here you go, Sheriff.
Yeah. I mean, I'm out of here.
I don't even know how they do it. I don't. No, I mean, we would do it.
Well, sure we would.
You just take one car at a time, but it would just take everyone.
Just keeping everybody else from piling into it would be the biggest trick.
You'd have to run to Spooner to shut it down.
Shut it down.
I mean, 100 cars.
Washburn County, shut down the highway, will you? We're getting killed down there.
But it would take. But that's what we have in Northwest Wisconsin. Yeah. I mean, I can always reach out to Washburn County, Polk County, Chippewa County, Russ County. I mean, our Russ County and Barron County, our SWAT teams are combined. And, we were over there for the Dan Glaze thing. And Sheriff Wallace came over during my incident. And Sheriff Dryden came down during our incident. And it was just, and they drove down, they patted you on the back, and they drove away. But it was just saying,
Are you crazy? I'm out of here.
You want to be at my news conference?
You're the face, man. You're the face.
But that's what it's about. And if we did have something odd like that, it would take a half hour to pile up 100 cars in 53. But
unless it's during a holiday or something, they had a bad storm, and you possibly get 25, 30.
You look at Sunday night, Saturday night after the Birkebeiner. I mean, there was 10,000 skiers in Hayward. So I mean, a pile up can happen very easily.
We call that the Subaru Highway.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
Subaru. Never mind.
Yep, don't get it.
It's a time joke. You laugh when you get time.
Right. What else is happening in Barron?
We're still got a meth problem. We're still working on meth.
Meth, yep, still there.
Still there.
Yeah.
We didn't take any time off from methamphetamine.
Sure.
There was, a lot less meth, I think, flowing when you had 200 extra cops in the county.
Yeah, that would be like police suppression at that point. Yes.
So now we know the solution to meth: 200 extra cops, and we won't have any meth.
Let's talk about the new potential laws that are possibly out there. One of them is from Chris Larson, a representative from down by Milwaukee area, I think south of Milwaukee. He's proposing interlock ignition for everybody that's convicted of OWI, no matter the offense. Now it's 0.15.
Right.
If you're 0.15, your car has an interlock system on it, so you can't drive drunk.
And no matter what offense.
Right. Yep. And his proposal is basically what they're doing is eliminating the 0.15 and saying you get convicted of OWI, you got to have an interlock system. What do you think about that?
I think the Wisconsin OWI laws after first offense could be tightened up a little bit. The first offense, everybody makes mistakes, and I think our first offense law for OWI is good. I mean, we've tightened it up from the 1.5 and above because
or if under 16.
Yeah. And if you have a child in the car and all that, we have laws, good enough laws for that. I mean, people make mistakes. Now you shouldn't. We should have 0 OWIs. It's the easiest crime to prevent. Don't drink and drive. It's pretty easy. Find somebody to drive for you. It's the crime. We should have 0 OWIs in Barron County and in Northwest Wisconsin. You can prevent it. It is the 100% preventable crime. It's preventable, and people just don't understand that because they don't think. Obviously, when you drink, you don't think. I mean, otherwise we wouldn't have OWIs. So when it comes down to OWIs, which our OWIs went down just a tad, we had 93 in 2018. That's too many, though. 93 people took a risk on our roads, and that's the ones we caught.
I'm sorry, were those total OWIs or first offense?
Total.
Okay.
Just at the sheriff's department.
Sure.
That doesn't include any of our local police departments.
Okay.
So you're probably talking 200 OWIs in Barron County in 1 year. That's one every other day. Yeah. I mean, that's
pretty high.
Yeah, that's pretty high. That's so every other day you need to worry about somebody driving on the roads drunk. Our kids are out there. I have a 16-year-old daughter now that drives on the roads. I don't want that. And the OWIs aren't happening at 2 a.m. anymore.
No.
They're happening at 9 a.m, 11, 4 p.m. I mean, so I think when you really look at our statistics and we lay it all out there, the times of OWIs have changed, I think, but it's 100% preventable. And we need to take a stand against that in Wisconsin. But I don't know that having interlock device at 0.08, we don't get a lot of 0.08s. You just don't see a lot of 0.08 people making that mistake. And that's why we have it. You speed, you get a ticket. You get OWI, you get a ticket. You do it again, okay, now it's time for we need to ramp up the penalties, and we have that. So I don't know that our OWI laws need to change. Maybe fourth offense, fifth offense, they need to get a little tighter.
That's a good point because there's another, as you know, it's been reported about on DrydenWire, is fifth and sixth. They want to make it mandatory 18 months in prison. Of course, DOC came back out with it's going to cost us $13 million for this, that, and the other thing, and you're going to overcrowd our prisons, which are already overcrowded. Fifth and sixth, I got to tell you, fifth and sixth, if you're convicted of fifth or sixth, you need to go to prison, in my opinion. I'm sorry. Yeah, it's going to cost money, but that's part of being in a law enforcement society. It's going to cost you money. And you may have to just fork it over.
And our jobs are to make it the road safe, the community safe. And there isn't a person out there that doesn't agree with us right now. And if you do, sorry. But the fifth offense, you've gotten 5 chances.
Yeah, that's enough.
Yeah. Okay. Give your kid 5 chances the next time he, comes home late, and let's just see how that works after the 5th time. Sooner or later, our kids need it. We do it with our kids. We need to do it with some of these things. There's no reason to have 5 OWIs.
What's surprising to me is the number that are 7 and 8 now.
Yeah.
It's ungodly. The number 7 and 8, 8th offense OWI. You got to be kidding me.
And that frustrates law enforcement. Our guys are out there enforcing the laws, and 5th offense is getting 3 months in jail, 4 months in jail.
Or the alternative sanctions that we have that gives them the IDIP, and there's all kinds of different diversion programs to be in jail, which are good, which saves us jail bed space. But are we really solving the problem?
Yeah, and we're looking at that with the meth problem right now. We're looking at a
meth diversion program.
Yeah, we need to come up with something different, but not for the guy that's been convicted of selling a pound of meth or a half a pound of meth.
Go to prison.
We need to divert the moms, the dads that sold meth because they're short money to buy milk for their kids. Okay, now that we got to look at the totality of that problem and say, okay, you didn't have enough milk money to buy your milk, kids, so you started selling meth to provide for your kids. Well, now we take your kids away. Now we put you in jail.
Yeah.
We need to have a meth diversion program, and that's my goal, and I know our human services director goal, because we spent probably in that $2 to $3 million range, again, just in Barron County on kids and meth.
Yep.
Okay, whether that's taking them out, treatment, whatever it is.
Foster care.
Yeah. $2 to $3 million just in Barron County. Now, if we can create a diversion program and save half of that, we can put that money back in our county, or we can reduce people's taxes.
Put it in diversion programs.
Right. Or, hopefully we don't have to do that. So I think you got to look at the circumstances, but the 30-year-old male that sells dope to kids near our high school, I'm not putting you in a diversion program anymore. I'm not voting for that anymore. We've gone down that road, and it's just not. I'm not there anymore. I want to help the moms, the dads that have kids that we take away after the first offense or second offense. We need to build those families back together.
And how would that happen? First of all, that was a very human answer, which I think sometimes people in their professions, it is this way and that's it, right? But that is a very well said. But how do you decide? Who is the ones in these diversion programs? Who's making that decision? Okay, we're going to let you in because, you're a mom and you needed some milk. But we're not going to let you in because you're ugly. Or you're doing something. Or where does that decision? How is that decision made?
Well, it's made by our courts right now, and
with
rules
help from counselors and other people too. By the way,
but we have a drug court program right now, and it's supposedly a diversion from prison. Well, which is great, and I like it, but we're not affecting the families like I want to in that court. So we just need to change the rules to our own diversion program. So we make those rules in Barron County. We get to make our own rules to some degree on who we put in a diversion program.
Who's eligible?
The district attorney, the judge, the public defender, the counselor, the social worker. So I'm looking. What I'm really asking for is some more input from our human services department, saying, okay, you guys give us some cases, some people that you think we can.
There you go.
If you want to save them, if you want to call it saving them, we're not saving them. They're helping themselves. We're just guiding them. Right. We're not saving them. It's not what we do. We just help people. We guide them, and we put it together, a whole package, or try to put a whole package together to put kids back with their families. We just can't take 100 kids, 200 kids and take them out of their homes because of methamphetamine. We're back to that issue. And, when we talk about what's new in Barron County, nothing's new. We're just back to fighting meth and working on our OWIs and doing some of that.
And unfortunately, when you talk about taking kids, sometimes you're obligated to take the kids because you can't come up with a plan that's going to protect those kids. You got to have a safety plan for these kids. And with human services, sometimes they're obligated to remove the children and place them in foster care, which is very expensive, but it's the right thing to do for the children at the time. But you're right. You got to be able to, you want to reintegrate those families together, get them back to their house, get them back to living in. And that's a tough process, and it's an expensive process.
Right. And it's not a law enforcement process.
No, and it's not
but
for us.
We need to be part of it.
Exactly.
And so, because it's not our job to make sure you have milk for your kid, but it needs to be our job because that's part of the problem why you go do meth, and that's a simplistic, and it's not as simple as
No.
I'm making it. We just can't buy milk for everybody, and we're not going to have a meth problem. I'm just using that as an example because I know someone's going to criticize me for me. It's not that simple. I understand that. I get it. It's not that simple, but it's that type of thinking we have to change, and it's the softer approach to law enforcement, and I get it. I'm not becoming soft because I also think fifth offense OWI should be go to prison. So
I do too.
I'm just thinking we've got to start thinking a little bit different, but not everybody deserves a diversion program. If you're selling meth to kids, I don't want you in a diversion program. I'll be honest. That's my opinion. I
think most cops agree with that one.
Right. I mean, and so we just have to pick and choose, and our judges and our district attorney are the ones that get to choose that but we have a good communication. And if you don't communicate with your district attorney and your judges and your human services workers and put yourselves in a room, which is a criminal justice collaborating committee, which most counties have, if you don't talk about these issues and put them on the table, then you can't expect anything to happen.
You know what? That's a key component to it. If the chiefs of police in your community, in your county, or if the sheriff and your staff are not involved in those kind of conversations, is it going to be successful? I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, if your drug unit's not at the table, what good does it having it?
But as a sheriff, you got to have the face for the county. You should be there. The sheriff should be there saying, these are the things that we need to do to help our community. And I think you're right. You cooperative effort, you can get that done.
Looking through a few comments here.
That's what I was doing too. I wasn't looking at my.
I wasn't looking. You guys are better at that.
Let's see. Well, the last one, it's from Representative Romaine Quinn. Right now, the legislature is looking to increase ADA positions, raise public defender pay, and invest more money into our CPS workers. Will that directly benefit our fight against meth? And if so, how?
Okay.
I'm going to read it again.
Yeah, read that again.
Let's do it. Let's
take it one at a time.
Okay, we'll break it down.
Come on, Romaine, break it down a little bit, will you?
Right now, the legislature is looking at increasing the ADA positions.
Right. I think that will help.
That will help.
That will help because we can get through the court system faster.
Judges need to. We need more judges too, obviously. Go ahead. All right.
We don't
remember, he's the guest.
All right. So sorry, Chris.
We're fine.
I can't help it, okay?
That's awesome.
He's trying to make a difference.
This is going to be epic.
People are going to quit watching pretty soon.
ADAs will help.
ADAs will help. We can get through the court system faster. We have 3 judges and in Barron County, but the caseload it's taking cases. We're working on the cost investigation. It's pretty hard for DA Wright to work on this and have all these other meth cases. So he's got 2 other people in his office. He turns them to, but they do what they can, and life still has to go on, even with a major investigation, whether it's this or another major investigation. Life has to go on, and so ADA helps. And there's a ranking system for that, and so ADAs would help get people through the system faster and get help.
Will that directly benefit the fight against meth?
Yes, definitely directly benefit because they'll either get convicted sooner, they'll get
or help,
or they'll get help sooner,
Yeah.
or they'll go to prison sooner because the case won't sit out there for 6 months while we're waiting for attorneys to.
Public defenders then too. More public defenders would benefit.
I think that's part of the part of the budget, and
part of the whole equation,
right? But our public defenders needed more money.
For sure,
to get their case load up, and it's the problem is, and Romaine gets it. I mean, you just can't put money into this part, and not this part, and so you have to give money to the whole system. Otherwise, having more ADAs but not enough judges isn't going to work.
Or public
defenders. I mean, we're having the public defender fight now. So if there's more ADAs and there's still only this many public defenders, it isn't going to help us go to court any sooner.
Yeah.
So what was the second part?
No, that was it. If so, how? So
Child Protective talked about
CPS
workers too, didn't you?
Yeah, where to go? Is that what that was? I don't know what CPS is. CPS
Child Protective
workers.
Services.
Yep.
Oh yeah, someone. Oh, thank
you. So that's
Cindy.
the same thing. I mean, it's the same thing you were just talking about. You got to put money in everything,
right? So a little bit, and a little bit is better than nothing. So I think we need to look at again the system approach because if we put 100 more cops on the road, that isn't going to help us because
it's going to crowd your jail out.
Right, you're going to. because it's
And the
gonna
local
crowd the jail.
donut shops will see an increase in their revenue, hopefully.
We'll talk about jail crowded in a minute.
Right. Well, then your jail's overcrowded. But if there's no ADAs because you hired 100 more cops, they're not going to get through the system, and then your jails are going to get overcrowded. So it's a system-wide approach that we have to think about.
Correct.
What A is going to help B, and so I think Romaine he
gets it
about that. Yeah, he gets
Janet Bewley, Nick Milroy, they all get it. They all understand that. But it's a very expensive process.
Yeah, it is. It's going to cost money.
It's going to cost money.
Yeah, and from roads to wherever it is. I mean, it's it works.
Looks like, I think we already touched on this, but Henry had asked, I read a while back, there was a push to criminalize first offense, OWI. Chris, what are your thoughts?
No, I don't think the first offense is people make mistakes. We have it. The enhancers are in there. If you're a 0.15 or above, the enhancers are there on first offense. So I think we're good with that.
Okay. Let's see what else was on there. I want to know why. Let's see. Hold on. Sorry. From Raquel or Rachel. I'm not sure how you say that. Raquel. Sorry. I want to know why he stereotypes people. Example: those who use meth use marijuana, and it shouldn't be legal. What about cancer patients? Do you think they are gonna use meth since they would use medical marijuana for pain? The gateway drug is alcohol. Thoughts on that?
The gateway drug is alcohol. The gateway drug is marijuana. I mean, no one in my jail, and you agree 100%.
There you go with that one.
No one in the jail just woke up and said, I'm going to start smoking meth. They were using marijuana. It's called chasing the dragon.
That's right.
Okay? You get this high on your first time.
Correct.
And then you need this much more marijuana to get that high again, and it builds up. And so instead of just carrying around a brick of marijuana, I'm going to take a baggie of meth because the potency of meth is stronger. It affects, and they're two different drugs. I understand that.
Yeah.
But no one in my jail, and I am only taking this from the people that I arrest and talk to, because I have conversations with people in our jail. I just don't lock them up. I've had conversations. We've done surveys in our jail. We've done different things. We're trying to we have a restart program in our jail to try to help people move out of this problem. But it's addictive, and anything that we put out there is addictive is people can get addicted to it, and they're going to keep doing it.
Is it fair to make this assumption? And I think I heard this somewhere. Somebody did data on it or something. You ask a meth user or some marijuana users will say, I like marijuana. I don't want to go to meth. Mm-hmm. So you can't say that just because I smoke marijuana, I'm going to do meth. Right. On the other hand, if you interview meth users, every one of them has started with marijuana.
Right.
So is that pretty safe?
I would say that's accurate.
I would too.
And back to the cancer, they're doing it for different reasons.
Yeah.
And that's why I think medical marijuana in the pill form is the right thing, because I'm 100%, whatever we can do to help cancer patients,
Absolutely.
I'm 100% behind. So
might be us someday.
Yeah. So I just think, we need to do that, but that's why it has to be done by a doctor, not somebody growing it in a field out back. I mean, it's just that's not okay. I mean, let's look at the reality of this. It's the reality of this is I'm not going to get better if you grow a plant in your backyard. It might help me feel better, but I'm not going to get better. The doctor can help me get better.
That's pretty wise, I think. Yeah. And I think you had answered
He's
that before
a wise man,
on your questions that you had sent out about the pill form.
Right.
Yeah. And I think that definitely would be maybe the best option. Is that something that is being discussed?
Oh, it should be. I don't know. It just got released last night. So, like, the Sheriff's Association didn't take a stance on it yet. No. WCA didn't take a stance, which is
medicinal marijuana. Is that
they didn't?
Or they didn't take a stance.
They didn't take a stance because they haven't seen it in written form. So we don't take stances on items that we don't see in written form. And I have not looked at the governor's budget. I've got a bunch of emails here that says the governor's budget is out. Here's the highlights of it from the WCA.
I was reading it this morning.
Wisconsin Counties Association is who guides us.
Right.
I mean, we're the counties, and they guide us through the legislative process and support us.
Okay.
At your you just got back from Badger State Sheriff's Association meeting, which is a quarterly thing, if I recall.
Right.
Anything earth-shattering coming out of there?
No, we talked a lot about partnerships, and obviously I was able to speak on partnerships with the DCI,
Absolutely.
FBI. Everybody asked the question when the FBI comes in, they just take over.
No, they don't.
They don't. They don't want to.
I've had that experience. Right. They don't do that.
They don't take over. This was a Barron County led investigation. Anytime anybody's involved, DCI, FBI.
DCI didn't even come in and take over. They just came in to help.
they're there to help.
That's
They're a
right.
supportive agency. The only time they take over and help is when we hand the case over officer-involved shootings.
Brian O'Keefe is awesome.
Brian O'Keefe is the best, and him and
He's
Justin.
DCI administrator.
Yeah, and Justin Talomeo from
Yep.
the FBI. He just
FBI.
retired.
He was a good.
He retired though.
He did.
Yep.
Well, so he retired knowing this is done. Then.
Yeah,
That's
knowing
gotta
this
be-
is done.
That's got to be a good feeling.
Yeah, he retired.
No kidding.
And so he's done, and
Oh,
so we have a new special agent in charge of the Milwaukee division in a temporary basis until they fill that.
Mhm.
But we still work closely together on those different
Excellent.
things.
Excellent.
When I'd asked before about what new was in Barron, you basically said that, well, nothing really new. It's the same stuff that's happening. And you were talking about the things that we to start working together. And there is a process behind a lot of this. Where are you in that process? Is this just at the very beginning, or do you see things getting done? How are you going to measure at the end of the year that this has been successful?
Well, I'm going to bang my fist on the table until I get some things that I want, but we're having the meetings already. So we're talking, we're having these conversations, and it takes there's not a scientific approach to this, but it's about conversations and building partnerships. And that's what we do well. And we're having those partnerships and conversations now through our Criminal Justice Collaborating Committee, meetings with DHS. How do we make the process better? How do we get meth out of here? These different things. And some of it's enforcement. I mean, we've
Sure
got
there is.
some of it's enforcement and working on different
Education.
Education. We're working with fifth graders in methamphetamine right now. We're going to launch Don't Meth With Us, fifth grade.
Are you gonna have a picture of Mike Tyson? Please tell me I have a picture of Mike. Don't mess with that.
So, I mean, we're trying to educate our kids about it. So it's the little things that can make a big difference. And we saw that in the Kloss investigation. If there's two things we learned that I can say to the people out there besides thank you is little things make a big difference. Whether it's cookies or donuts or whatever.
Ham sandwich.
Yeah. I mean, that really kept us going when we needed it, and never give up hope.
No.
And so whether we succeed this year with a meth problem or next year, I'll never give up hope ever again.
I remember when every time you were speaking or to media, or I saw it in news articles, you would talk about hope and that we will bring Jamie home.
Yeah.
And everyone was asking, well, how do you know that?
Yeah.
Right? How do you know? And I'm not keeping, I mean, obviously I can't talk about the investigation, but I believe that's what's going to happen, and there's no other way to think about it.
There's no reason to give up hope.
No.
And whether you're cancer or whoever, you just never give up hope. And we'll win these battles, and that's what the people elected me to do. So I'm not going to give up hope and just go home at night and say, "Oh, we're done. We can't do this. We can't win the meth battle. So let's just quit fighting it."
Yeah.
And we're not gonna. And frustration sets in. Everybody's day at your office, frustration sets in, whether you sell cars or you work at the gas station or you're a social worker or you're a cop. I mean, we're all the same. We're all a community working on problems, and we will get through it together, and we will work together, and we'll never give up hope. And just remember, the little things can make a big difference, whether it's saying hi to me and making my day better because I'm, not having a good day. We can grow these communities, and we're going to come. Barron's going to be changed forever. Yep, it will, but it's going to be a heck of a lot better. I can guarantee you that.
Why do you think that you seem to have a lot of respect from the community, not just because you are the face of this Kloss investigation, but even before that? Why do you think so?
Good question. I think
Active.
I've earned their active. I'll go with that. I mean, I was looking for the word, and I like the
you
word
were active in your community.
Yeah,
You've always been that way.
I was going to say approachable.
Yeah, absolutely.
and honest, and not everything is going to work, but we got to try a couple different things, and I think I'm responsible with my financial. I think I've built a good team, and I think I have a good team. I think I let them do their job. I like to be involved, but I try not to be in their job.
Second guess them.
Right. There are investigators, and they know what they're doing, and I trust in them. I am also, if you're not going to follow the rules, I'm not afraid to. I've fired people. I've suspended people. I've I think you have to be open and honest. The $7.5 million is taxpayer money. I'm responsible for that. So I think I've been responsible. I think I'm active. I'm very involved in communities, and I've earned people's trust. I'm in it for the whole, and not for me, not for my family, not for anything. I'm in it for the whole, the good of the community, and everything we do can make a big difference. So I don't really know.
I do know. I know why you're successful, because it's just all the things you just said.
Yeah.
And you're honest with people. And you also tell people, if you make a mistake, if it isn't drastic mistake, if you make a mistake, we learn from our experiences. Now move forward and don't do it again.
Yeah.
Or learn from those mistakes that you make. And that's the kind of leaders. That's why you have the people that make you a good leader are the ones that follow you.
So I didn't bring the buzzers.
Oh, yeah.
So,
ding, ding.
Next time that you come back, we're going to do Sheriff Off Part 2.
Okay. Sheriff Off?
Yep,
Right.
yep. No, you're not the sheriff
I'm
anymore.
not a
But
sheriff
that's right.
anymore.
It doesn't matter.
Oh.
I don't want to come up with a new name for it. So, any last words? Anything else you want to say?
Thank you. Thanks for the support that DrydenWire has given this case. Thanks for the support the community has given case, whether it's been Washburn County or Barron County, Douglas County. There's been a lot of people that have helped with this case or wanted to help. There's some things coming up. There's going to be a fundraiser for in the future, and probably in May, for the family to do some different things for Jamie at the house. I think we're going to be launching that very shortly. So
Excellent.
I think there's some opportunity, because a lot of people want to help, and that's the other thing that people struggled with is they wanted to help.
That they can't, because
there's nothing to do.
Nothing to do right now.
There was nothing to do.
Be
And so-
patient. We're going to get around to it.
yeah, but there's some things that you can do and come and be part of some celebrations and
Excellent.
some other things, and look for that on our Facebook. And I know you'll cover all of our stuff and help us out with that. So appreciate that. Thanks to the community for their support. It was very heartfelt. So.
Well, thank you, Chris. We want to thank our guest, Barron County Sheriff Chris Fitzgerald, for stopping by for a chat with us today. Next Friday, Dad and I will welcome a first-time guest to DrydenWire Live, newly elected Polk County Sheriff Brent Walk. For Terry Dryden, I'm Ben Dryden, and you've been watching a DrydenWire.com live video podcast. We'll see you next week.